So I decided for this one to do something a little bit different. I've got Bob back here. I'm on the living room office PC, so still need to get some more video clips ready to go and to play around with. But for now, we just got Bob to mess with on this particular computer. And so I decided to do something different in that I'm starting out with a piece. I think it was 2 sketches ago. We had this crazy array of effects with sort of a generative start. And I wanted to play around a little bit with affecting the video with some MIDI. And I'm using a resolume. I'll just drag it over here into the pick. And it's pretty awesome. And this is a really old version, this Resolume Avenue 4, which you can still do a lot of damage with. See, I got my bobs here, and I set up some mappings to affect, and as you can see, we control these with MIDI notes as well. So I've got this this second parameter here of the first effect, and this also we've got mapped to MIDI CC1. You can pretty much map any of these highlighted ones, any MIDI CC to those, and I'm pretty sure we could even map MIDI CC to these. I haven't really pushed it to the fullest limits, but you can get some pretty wicked crazy stuff going on that way. So let's go ahead and turn off the mapping, if it'll let me. Oops. Got volume just being a little punk. Yeah, view, let's see, mapping, edit MIDI map off. Okay, cool. And I'll just drag this out of the way. Maybe we'll play with it, pull it back in, and play with it some more later. So I've set up this MIDI channel here, and we've got a gate pulling audio in from the master here. And then I've got this envelope follower, pretty stock standard Max for Live patch. And as you can see, it's moving to the peaks there, and I've mapped this knob here, this offset on the MIDI LFO, and I've got CC out from there, routing into this other MIDI track, and just using my loop BE, that free MIDI siphon driver for Windows, got it mapping out to channel 1. So let's go ahead and just turn this one on, and then we can just watch it do some really jerky, glitchy, ridiculous kind of stuff. So that's, obviously this is an extreme example. If we pull the fall out, it kind of adds some smoothing a bit. You can even get a little more smoothing going with the rise there. Cool. And I've got a few different types of clips with some various effects. Using just the built-in stock free frame plugins that come with a Resolume Avenue 4. I'm thinking they're on version 6 or 7 now with Resolume, and there are probably some way better plugins in there. And I'm pretty sure we can, let's try to send some notes here. Let me just double check my mapping menu over here. It looks like C1. Yeah, let's try C1. Go all the way down to C1, see if we get anything there. Oh, I'm already playing clip C1. What about, it doesn't look like these are going through, and it may be because this is set to auto. So if we make let me just duplicate this really, and then set this to auto. We don't need an input on this one. We're just going to send MIDI notes out. So loop B channel 1. Okay, so it looks like we're getting some switches. Maybe it is CC -1. Actually, let me pull this in tighter so we can try to see the results a little faster. I'm just kind of going up the notes there. Well, it should just do whatever I think, whatever I want. Psychically, you should just. Now let me just double check my mapping over here. Edit MIDI map. So now I've hit the thing and it's hit the clip. As you can see here, it's mapped to CC1 because we have this one still going through. So now I've got it mapped to C5. I see. So you can kind of map them however you want. Let's go back down to C1. Whoops, C1. Yeah, let's see. And that's funny. It looks like it's mapping this to C4. So I'm like a little confused as to why it's mapping that way. Let's see if we move this note up 1. Yeah, so it thinks, yeah, we've got like a seriously weird, the way resolume is interpreting it is a little odd. C sharp, maybe it's, yeah, C sharp -4, but no bother. We can set it to that, and then let's see, mute this. It's a little tricky when mapping across programs because you got to make sure to mute the output so you don't get a false hit. And looks like map to yep, D4. Okay, and then let's go up 1, and then we'll map to this. Cool. So now we can bring this back down to our original clip and watch it. It should, I guess we have to turn off the mapping here before it finally, yeah, starts to do what we want. Cool. And since I have the audition on, it's going to send notes out whenever I select the note or move it. It's odd because it's like going up as I go down. That's confusing. So, and then, or yeah, somehow things got a little weird. Yeah, something to investigate later, but for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just drop this. That is not the channel we want. And we can use this randomizer. Let's take the chance, we'll set it by, and that means it'll go +1 and -1. We're going to make the chance to 2. And so this note, every time it hits it, it might just pick a random clip at that point. So far, so good. And I also mapped the, there we go. Let's get some of our effects moving around here. So it gets a little more nutty looking. Also, so when we push the gain up on the gate in, we get a lot more crazy. So, super glitchy Bob Ross, folks. Cool. Okay, so that was fun and something I definitely want to explore more in the future. You know, I'm not super familiar with it, so it'll probably take me a bit of time to sort of learn it first before I bust it out in some of these sketches. I kind of want these sketches to feel more productive than just me trying to noodle around and debug things and figure things out. Even though there's always some of that, no matter what, even when sketching, there's always some of that kind of debug setup. So let's see, envelope, follow. And this is just a great Max for Live plugin no matter what. As you know, you can make all kinds of weird effects controlled by the volume of whatever source you want to pull from using this this gate effect, or you can use a compressor. So let's go ahead and get some of these playing here. And yeah, I need to get some of these going. Or we could actually just have like a random, hit this to get a random selection here. Because we set these up to basically, using follow actions, these start clips jump to anything other than themselves. And these clips are not set to jump anywhere. So in each of these clips controls the on of a various effects rack inside, and each effects rack has a different set of effects, which we can set up to do whatever we want. So that's a lot of fun. If you're, doing this as a live performance, it's kind of different every time, and so you're forced to kind of respond to the chance of it. And I guess if you do a lot of testing initially, everything should sound okay together. It can be tricky though. Yeah, Bob's going crazy over here, and it's crazily matching the motion sort of the sound, which honestly, if it was another cooler kind of computer generated type of clip, that could actually be really more fitting for this kind of almost abstract, haphazardous sounding music. Awesome. Let's get a operator going here, and maybe a drum rack. Let's go ahead and drop it in a drum rack. I think I might have to try to start doing more, audio reactive type of visuals. Just using these sketches kind of as an excuse for me to explore that. Oftentimes I like to just play old footage. At least with the Off the Sky live sets, it's a lot of old footage. Alright, we gotta drop that down a few octaves. Give it some ooh, getting trippy over here. Honestly, hope none of you all have a problem with having seizures from Let's try move this over into the Euro hack thing and see what all the effects are going to do. Kind of gets lost in the murk. Maybe we'll remove this supermassive here. I wish I could include the video and the resolume project. And maybe at some point I will. Maybe at a later time I'll make a separate download for just the video stuff. For those that have resolume, I know a lot of people don't. It's not a cheap piece of software, and most people I know, just only stick with the DAW. You have to be brave to want to venture out into the world of doing visuals for your own music. But again, as I mentioned before, it's really nice to have a visual element. Some artists think it just distracts. Ooh, looks like we got some tempo being controlled also. Let me go ahead and stop this. I'm going to mute this and remove our tempo mapping here. This must have been left over from the previous. And yeah, let's get things going again. And perhaps we can map the audio, siphon the audio from this beat here into this final hack effects section. Because I would love to hear some of the reverb and other things on the beat. So we pull down the mix there. And let's draw sound from the beat. You can see the effect of the beat has on the visuals, which is, you know, it's a lot of fun to have that feedback going there, even though what I'm seeing is not super exciting. Some of the effects are, you know, a little cheese. It's really easy with the built-in, at least at my experience level. I probably need to just play with them more, and I have found that once you start to mix them down and you make clips and you remix those into various effects, then you can start to pull out kind of interesting looking visuals at that point. But otherwise, stuff can be pretty, you know, basic two-dimensional looking. I do like that kind of slow modulation of let's automate this to kind of be a snare-ish of sorts. And we can add a shape to it also. Where to next? I was thinking we could add a little bit of yeah, the video is almost just distracting me, so I think I'm gonna, let's see, I had a trails effect. I'm just gonna sort of smear things out quite a bit, you know, if that even helps. You can see I've also controlling the playback, which is gets a little nutty. Might need to turn down the crazy, which is easy to do, pulling the gain down. Now we go back to essentially no changes except for our MIDI clip notes changing the video clips. Yeah, it's a little more subdued and easy to think. Pull this in over here. Let's get ourselves a noise. Some really unpredictable stuff happening, I gotta say. Really loving what I'm hearing coming out of the coming out of all this Euro hack section. You are too loud, way too loud. Now let's go ahead and just turn this clip change off, and we can just watch one clip. I think I like this one is crazy looking. Awesome. I want to give myself a little bit of volume here. And let's try a different combination of effects. Kind of a nice subdued shaker type of sound. Nothing too crazy. Now let's automate that. Let's set that up real quick. Get our random lengths and stuff going with the loop. Just gonna hold down shift and kind of move this around just kind of subtly. Awesome. Let's get I want to hear what an auto filter will do. Now that I'm hearing this snare thing happening, it's almost too incessant. We've almost got too much reverb. Do we have another reverb happening here? Whoops. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Don't need that from an earlier experiment. Let's pull over my trusty visualizer. Did I have? Oh, I did have a reverb here. Let's add an auto pan here. A very easy way to break up something that's just running on a little too much. And since we have since this is on the group, we can't automate these. That's such a bummer. We could route this even further because here is going into here and then here and here. So we could add another stage in between and automate those. See what a drum bus will do. It'll make everything fatter and a lot more powerful. Sometimes it's nice to just have a really steady hypnotic pulse when you've got, you know, a lot of crazy sounds that are off the beat happening. I think they make a nice juxtaposition together. Let's see what happens if we add another white noise in here. Probably not much. I think a lot of it's being filtered out anyway, but let's try a white noise looped and yeah, let's go ahead and automate this. Pull you out there, and then let's hold down shift and get some incremental movements when I pull this knob. Bob is looking real psychedelic at this point. But that's a good thing. I think that's what we want. I think we need Bob. Just really sort of just deep mind Bob. A little bit there. Cool. Let's try a little gotta pull this off the grid here. Unlink. Classic moves. It's one of my favorites of all times. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's undo that. And then let's turn this arpeggi on only every now and then. So we'll just give it a little on there and then pull the loop away just a bit. So I do like the interaction we've got going between our Euro hack and the and this pulsing, you know, basic. One of these days I'm going to have to set a rule for at least one sketch where I'm not allowed to use the grain delay. Or I was thinking of an idea also of having a max for live patch that would be like some dice, you know, so it would just, you'd have a button you would push and it would like roll some dice for you, which I think would be pretty easy to set up with a couple of little embedded graphics, and then, you know, using the dice to make decisions. And there's always a chance with that, of course, if you follow the dice 100%, or a flip of a coin, that you end up in, you know, really just far out, you know, too nutty of territory. I've always found whenever I've played around with these ideas of using chance, that it's best to steer it a little bit. So try to have like a bit of a mix between. But that just has always lended the most interesting and best results. It's like a good mix between, you know, an artist-directed thing and a, you know, chance-oriented, unpredictable probability type of situation. I did a live performance once with a laptop, and it was at a university with a group of percussionists, and they had created a spinner, a giant spinner they had on the floor, and this spinner, they would spin around so they had someone just spinning it around every, I don't know, so many measures or something, and it would land on different things, and we had to change up what we were playing and how we were playing it based on where it would land. So it was kind of almost like turning live music composition into a bit of a game. It was a kind of fun and challenging, because you never know, you know, you had to be able to switch things up. And all right, let's go ahead and modulate this. You had to switch things up on the fly. I think ultimately it sounded very haphazardous and abstract. There were a few moments where it was really incredible, and I was really surprised at how fascinatingly good it sounded. So that's always the challenge and the trick with working with randomness, is how can you steer it so that it seems meaningful and not just total chaos. All right, this here snare sound, I'm going to unlink this, so we're going to set this off here. All starting to sound very weird and sort of underwatery. I like that, just that leap every now and then. So I think I need to play with this here rate. So what do we got down? We got 196. Yeah, I think the lower ones are sounding better to my ears, whereas the higher rates just kind of cut off the notes altogether. So let's automate this also. We've got it modulating, but I think it would be cool to have it slowly moving up and down over time. Like so. Let's make 3 dots. And this way it's vacillating. It's almost like our own really long, slightly off kiltered LFO. It's the way I like to think of modulations and automations, and they're just my own drawn-in LFOs. Let's play with this loop a little bit. And even with our solid pulsing rhythm, we're still getting quite, as we automate stuff up, quite a bit of variation just inside of that simple concept. Yeah, just really not unexpected sounds coming out that I'm really happy with. So I want to automate this also. As you can see, it takes a little bit of patience and perseverance to get things to a reasonable point. My method is just start moving around knobs. Always remember where you started from with a knob. And I find that oftentimes I want to go back to that starting point after I jerk a knob around here and there. I'm such a jerk. I'm a knob jerk. Sounds like a real terrible slide. You frickin' knob jerk. That's me. Cool. So like 10.5, and usually, you know, I'll bring it back down, but usually it's not. Or sometimes I'll leave it if I find it sounds better if I'm not moving it, and I just find a better spot for it. And it's very reactionary, you know, on what I'm hearing, you know, because once you start automating a bunch of things, when you move knobs, it can sound different at one spot versus 10 minutes from now. It could be a whole other schmeal. Just making up words today, right and left. Ooh, I better make sure I'm keeping this on the grid. I don't want to be dealing with those crashes like we were getting. And God knows when Ableton will fix that bug. You know, as much as I think that's such a terrible bug and should be fixed right away, they'll probably take their sweet time, and it'll be like in the middle of Live 11's cycle that, you know, it'll finally get fixed. I'm sure they have much bigger fish to fry. Software development is, for those who have not worked in software development, it's not a simple process. Yeah, some really cool stuff coming out of this now. Just subtle and sometimes a little dramatic. It is a fine line between cool and melodramatic and over the top, but that is, I guess, our job as artists is to rein that, to rope it and rein it in, make sure that we're not putting out too much garbage. Subjective, of course. One man's trash, another's treasure. So some of my older albums, my original ones, I think are garbage, and some people still seem to like them, and I'm like, well, good for you. I think they suck, but that's just, you know, we as artists, we grow if we're constantly working at it. We're going to be constantly changing a little bit and growing and trying to play with new ideas and Ooh, I like that. Every now and then, that'll be nice. All right, so let's get you off the obvious grid there. Let's do like a little bit more. Yep. All right, and just every now and then, try to remember what I just did. Sometimes I hear something that I like, and I have to restrain myself from overdoing it, or I'll just have to go back in and like, oh, I was like being a knob jerk too much, and it just ends up sounding like garbage, as they say in the Bronx. Yeah, apologies in advance for my terrible senses of humor sometimes. Just some of the like, I think I make Neil Hamburger and his comedic ilk look like just amazing comedians. I think Neil Hamburger is definitely one of the more awkward and... All right, cool. I'm liking some of this change here. Let's get you. Nope. In order for this particular keyboard shortcut thing to work, we have to have. Keeps wanting to pull it in that direction, but I guess that's the randomness that I set. So I need to just live with that. No big deal. All right, let's give this one a go. I want it to be on one mostly, but then just sort of jump around. I should probably get in there and just draw this out. Yeah, like when it goes up too much, it's too goofy. It's too yeah. So these up slope spots, and maybe they'll sound fine if they're just flipping on just for a second. Now I'm kind of curious, you know, what'll happen if we switch up this sort of 4/4 thing. Didn't even think about playing around with the velocity. It's amazing that you can really spend a ton of time just with one simple sound, but as you could hear, once you start moving a lot of things around, you can get a ton of different sounds out of it. We haven't even played with this LFO here. You'd be really hard pressed to find a piece of hardware, you know, that didn't cost you a serious arm and a leg that would pull off these kinds of sounds. You know, I've seen guys like Richard Devine do it, but they've got these walls full of modular stuff, and it looks amazing, like a spaceship just flying, you know, ready to take off into a black hole. You know, but who's got the $100,000 to create a wall like that? So, with a little perseverance, you can achieve those sweet, sweet sounds even just with software. You just kind of have to have a little bit of patience and perseverance. Trying to pull something like this off with analog, fully analog, which just, I mean, nearly impossible. I think it would be very difficult. Some of these delay sounds, I don't even know if it's possible to achieve that without a digital, you know, buffer type of chips or whatever code. And let's just play with this way, way up. It's probably... Okay, I can live with that sequence of two notes here, and we're gonna unlink that. God bless this DAW for having this feature of unlinked automation, because man, it just opens up a exponentially, insanely infinite world of possibilities. Every now and then, only every now and then, we'll have that flip on. Like, what else can we mess around with on this? I haven't played with the attack of this. Yeah, we're definitely moving away from that sort of hypnotic realm into a lot more of an abstracted, expressionistic, random kind of zone. But it's not, you know, 100% random, because if we record this, you know, we've got these automations in there, and they are sort of looping to, even if I pull them off the grid, there's still a finite amount of length, and they will still sort of match up. You know, obviously, this will be completely random every time. Certainly, you know, any of these, when we hit that start, any follow actions will be random. So, you know, there's a lot of randomness you can definitely throw in to make things, especially with, you know, the LFO and the random. This thing with a random instead of a signed set. I want to see what happens when we that's fun. Cool. I'm liking our really more abstracted pulse at this point. And now we can play with this here shaker thingy. But what should we do? And that's always, to me, the moment of freak out. So I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, what the heck should we do? We'll add this to the beat. And what happens if we loop this? Since we've got a long-held note there. Oh, this loop feature is really slick. Let us play with that. Pull you out just a little bit. I'd really love to at some point get into working with 3D models. I know there's some Max for Live patches that let you load those in and you can manipulate various things of those 3D models, but I think that would look really cool with some of these sounds, as some live manipulated. It's definitely something I'll have to research. Cool. So we also want to Sounding very much like crazy insects or something at this point. Cicadas from hell. Do you like some of the let us pull these away from each other. I didn't mean to do that. Not sure how that happened. May almost be a little too nutty. So let's pull the wet and dry down. Just maybe the high pass up. I like that cutout there between the our sort of hi-hat thing and the beat. It's a nice little break. Kind of like when you're at the beach and the waves, they all just stop at the same time. Those weird moments. Sweet. And we could automate this gain here too if we wanted only certain moments to be weird and others to just be normal. We could automate this also as it switches our clips. We could put the MIDI, let's see, the MIDI racks. Well, we could use the gate randomizer that, you know, doesn't let certain MIDI notes through, the probability gate. Or we could just automate our own little gate. See what happens when we speed all this up. Yeah, I'm just jumping around here now. Patter, kicker. All right, now. Let's try. Right. I was going to add this gate here. Sort of block these notes from changing up. And then we could also put a block on this MIDI CC as well. Let's try to do that now. See if we get the option. Since we're set to in, I would assume we could still use the automations. Let's see why we would lose that functionality. And from the other day, if I remember, if we turn off the speaker, we also turn off. Yep, the CC does not go out after that speaker, so. All right, and I think we had set our note to be a little too wide. So a lot more generative in when and how it switches. love when we hold down Shift and we hit stop. I really want to figure out a way, and I'm sure there's a Max for Live patch that we could easily drop an LFO onto that would do this for us. I want to have to do some research and find that, because I just sometimes I really like what happens when we get these little tails. If we had a lot more feedback happening inside of here. Cool. Just try to turn on some random ones here. Definitely put in some more notes. We wanted this to get a little more active. It does sound pretty neato, I think, when it's like that. What else can we do? Let's try something else in here. I wish when we copied these, we would get the automations along with it. We could duplicate this and duplicate the automations at that point. Very modular Euro-rack type of sound, which is fun. Almost feel like it could use a more steady snare sound. On here, maybe we'll get more. IDM gods must be pleased. Let's try for a bit of a snare type sound, and as we've done before, it's really, I think, most easily done with a little white noise. go down an octave. And this kind of these kind of envelopes sound pretty good, if you ask me. Everything is sounding so nutty. It's almost hard to tell what's happening from what. So we could automate these, or bust out our cheap trick of only every so often having it come through using a tremolo. Let's see what a saturator might do with this snare type thing we're working with. Definitely added some girth. Cuts like a knife, I tell you. Down, see what we get. Wow, it's almost turned into a kick now that we've got this frequency pushed way down on this low pass. Saturator can really just, you can get some really nutty stuff coming out of it. A bit of modulation to the frequency. Sharpen that snare thing up. We could, only because it's so timed perfectly to the beat. Yeah, this cuts off the tail of it basically. Every now and then pump that feedback up. Gosh, I really wish I could just duplicate this and keep the automations. And maybe there is a technique to do that, and I haven't found it yet. I'm going to keep thinking about that. Is there a way to do that? Like, I know I can duplicate this layer, but if I drag, you know, the automated one from this layer back over to here, I'm not going to do the same thing. Such a puzzle. So let's play with this. We've got this here siphoning audio from this. Maybe I should move this over here. So I don't think I'll include the video envelope following stuff in with this project simply because it's not super relevant, and I don't feel like, well, I mean, it's not relevant to the sound, I should say. I mean, maybe I'll include it. Maybe won't be much of use to anybody that doesn't have resolume 4, so I guess we'll see. So let's pull this down. Sounding rather nutty, I tell you. I don't know why I hear a bass, this sort of bassy type of super weird sounding. Getting weird here. Ooh, let's add some goo in here. First we need to turn off our note switcher. And maybe that's a little more like the bass I was hearing in my head. Very, very nutty sounding beat. Some dubstepper is gonna enjoy that. And there's always the question, what happens if we drop no probability gate in there? Maybe things get a little odd. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to mess around with the effects really quick on this. Looks like we've got a few things happening here. Freeze, displacement. Looks like our freeze is taking over. Maybe that wasn't the one. Infinite zoom. Very transformative effect there. I do like this sort of weird little squares that are happening right there. I must say that was unexpected. And it's cool with Resolume. You can add this like timeline type of effect. It's like kind of its own little LFO, but sadly, it only kind of just gives you these few options. Helps to have a little speed on the timeline. Cool. We'll just leave that all the way up, even though the rotating is not my favorite. It's a bit obvious, I guess. Seems a little uninspired or something. There's so many effects to play with, and most of these are just so basic. I really wish they would let you drop and manipulate 3D objects in here, but Resolume is primarily for good old-fashioned two-dimensional video clips. Just really transformative with our probability gate turned on. Definitely subdues a lot of things. On a track like this, you've got to have a breakdown. It's just too crazy otherwise. Here we go. Gotta get a course on that bass. Alright, now we can safely switch between some of these clips. If we dial back the gain, Bob Ross never looked so hot. not really. Those aren't super great effects if you ask me. Lots of cheesy, glitchy kind of, you know, but for IDM stuff, honestly, people almost expect that. And, you know, if you're doing a show where you want the center of the focus to be the sound and the music, you kind of almost want to keep your visuals really simple and not distracting from the audio. I mean, if they look really cool and it goes with the music, it's never, I feel like it's almost better to go really simple and non-distracting and, you know, solid shapes, simple shapes, solid colors, or go, you know, really cool. But, you know, if you do stuff in between and it's just not effective or not really well timed or really well curated, it can look really terrible. That's what I've noticed over the years as I've seen a lot of live performances with visuals. Like something like this is way too spastic, you know. As you can see, we've got this randomizer on because our gain is all the way up. So with a different style of clip other than Bob, I mean, it could be really effective. It could really look pretty cool. Cool. So I think we're good on this one, and yeah, that was fun. I liked jumping off track, off course a little bit, playing around with some video. I think I want to continue to do that a little bit down the road. So yes, until next time, keep creating.